In 1974, physicist Stephen Hawking made a shocking prediction. He believed tiny black holes were exploding across the universe, releasing mysterious radio signals. An Australian engineer set out to find them. He failed. But hidden inside that failure was a discovery that would connect billions of devices around the world. Right now, you're using it. This is the incredible true story of how a failed search for black holes accidentally gave us Wi-Fi. And by the end, you'll understand why the internet in your pocket was never meant to exist. Picture an office in 1985. Wires snake across the floor, taped down with yellow caution strips. A bulky computer sits locked to a desk by a thick gray cable. Moving it even a few feet means shutting down the entire network. Universities dreamed of a wireless future, but physics refused to cooperate. Inside a building, radio signals don't travel in straight lines. They bounce off walls, ceilings, furniture, and even people. Each reflection arrives a fraction of a second later, turning one clean signal into a mess of overlapping echoes. Engineers called it multipath interference, and for decades, no one could solve it. Businesses spent huge amounts on leased phone lines just to connect offices. Large files were often shared by physically mailing floppy disks. Around the world, researchers raced to build wireless networks. Most systems were painfully slow. Others worked only inside empty rooms with no furniture and no interference. The moment real life entered the equation, the signal fell apart. Some scientists began to wonder if a truly wireless office would ever become reality. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, radio astronomers faced the exact same problem. They aimed giant radio telescopes into deep space, trying to capture faint whispers from distant galaxies. Those signals arrived distorted too. The astronomers needed a way to separate noise from truth. Wireless engineers needed exactly the same thing. Neither group realized they were chasing the same ghost. Then came the breakthrough, not from a computer lab, not from a telecom company, but from a scientist trying to hear a black hole die. In the early 1970s, a young Australian named John O'Sullivan was finishing his physics degree at the University of Sydney. He was quiet, methodical, and fascinated by mathematics, especially how light and radio waves bend, scatter, and blur. In 1974, everything changed. Stephen Hawking published a radical theory. He proposed that black holes were not eternal prisons of darkness. Instead, tiny primordial black holes might be exploding, releasing a final burst of radio energy as they vanished. For radio astronomers, this was electrifying. If Hawking was right, somewhere out there, the universe was making a sound. O'Sullivan pursued his doctorate at the University of Sydney, focusing on extracting faint, distorted signals from an ocean of cosmic noise. He later worked with radio astronomy teams overseas, developing expertise in Fourier optics, a mathematical toolkit for cleaning up blurry or scattered signals. For years, he worked at a radio observatory in the Netherlands, helping upgrade one of Europe's most powerful telescopes to process massive amounts of data. Eventually, a former boss convinced him to return home and build something new for Australian science. By the early 1990s, O'Sullivan had joined CSIRO, Australia's national science agency. His assignment was audacious: build a system sensitive enough to detect the radio flash of an exploding mini black hole, a particle-sized object releasing a signal lasting only a fraction of a second. The obstacle was brutal. Radio noise from Earth, the atmosphere, and the galaxy itself could bury any real signal. O'Sullivan and his small team built receivers, wrote algorithms, and pointed dishes at the sky for months. They refined filter after filter, chasing a flicker of a signal that always seemed just out of reach. They detected nothing. Not one confirmed black hole explosion. Not one clean signal. By any normal measure, the project was a failure. But O'Sullivan had built something else without realizing it. To chase that impossible black hole signal, he and his colleagues had developed sophisticated techniques for detecting weak, distorted bursts hidden inside heavy interference. One method in particular stood out. It used something called a fast Fourier transform, a way of breaking a messy radio signal into mathematical pieces, then processing them at incredible speed. And here came the surprising twist. O'Sullivan had helped design a specialized computer chip that performed these transforms at high speed, originally for radio telescope work, not networking. In the early 1990s, CSIRO management was looking for ways to commercialize its engineering research. Someone inside CSIRO looked at O'Sullivan's black hole detection techniques and asked an unexpected question. Could the same mathematics untangle the chaos of radio signals bouncing around inside an office building? At first, it sounded absurd. But mathematics does not care about scale. A radio wave scattering off the walls of a room could behave mathematically like a radio wave scattering across billions of light-years of space. O'Sullivan realized the physics were almost identical. The tool built to catch a dying black hole could catch a wireless signal instead. He assembled a small team at CSIRO: Terence Percival, Graham Daniels, Diethelm Ostry, and John Dean. Together, they set an audacious goal: build a wireless local area network as fast and reliable as a wired connection, something almost nobody believed was possible. The failed hunt for an exploding black hole had just become the origin story of wireless internet. The team's breakthrough came from combining two powerful ideas. First, they used fast Fourier transform technology to rapidly untangle overlapping radio echoes inside a room. Second, they engineered a way to send data across many parallel channels at once, so even if some channels were disrupted, the message still arrived intact. In 1992, CSIRO quietly filed a patent for this unsmearing technique. Almost nobody in the technology world noticed. But inside CSIRO, the team knew they had created something valuable. A second patent followed in 1996, strengthening the agency's claim just as the wireless industry was beginning to grow. Meanwhile, engineers around the world were pursuing the same goal from a different direction. Among them was Dutch researcher Victor Hayes, who worked with an international standards committee to create a universal wireless networking protocol. In 1997, that effort produced the first version of 802.11. Early 802.11 was painfully slow, and many companies doubted wireless networking would ever replace cables. Then, in 1999, 802.11b increased speeds to 11 megabits per second. For the first time, wireless networks became practical for everyday use. But there was one problem. To work reliably inside homes and offices filled with walls, furniture, and interference, manufacturers needed exactly the kind of signal processing technology O'Sullivan's team had patented years earlier. For years, CSIRO received little recognition. The small Australian science agency was rarely mentioned when journalists wrote about the wireless revolution. That changed in the early 2000s. CSIRO began asserting its patent rights, informing major electronics companies that their Wi-Fi chips relied on Australian-owned technology. What followed became one of the biggest patent battles in tech history. Some companies quietly paid licensing fees. Others fought back, arguing CSIRO could not possibly own such a critical technology. CSIRO responded with lawsuits against major electronics manufacturers across multiple countries. In the end, the agency won or settled nearly every case. By 2012, CSIRO had collected more than $400 million in royalties and settlements from its Wi-Fi patents. A government science project built to search for exploding black holes had become one of the most valuable inventions in modern technology. By the mid-2000s, Wi-Fi routers were spreading into homes around the world. Coffee shops advertised hotspots. Airports, libraries, and universities rushed to install wireless networks. The invention nobody expected had quietly become something billions of people now depend on every day. Today, Wi-Fi connects an almost unimaginable number of devices. Billions of gadgets worldwide rely on the signal processing methods O'Sullivan's team developed while hunting for exploding black holes. Every video call, smart speaker, streaming show, and connected device depends on technology born from that failed astronomy experiment. Hospitals track patients through Wi-Fi connected monitors. Factories run production lines using wireless sensors. Classrooms give students laptops, trusting a signal originally designed to detect a dying particle-sized black hole. Think about your own daily life. You wake up, and your phone syncs through home Wi-Fi. You enter a coffee shop, and your laptop connects automatically. You board a flight, and a wireless signal keeps you connected thousands of feet above the ground. In a hospital, doctors access patient information on tablets without cables. And in smart homes, lights, locks, and thermostats quietly exchange data through the same invisible technology. None of it requires a cable. And much of it traces back to a mathematical technique created to detect a radio flash from a tiny black hole somewhere in deep space. The story also changed how people viewed basic scientific research. For decades, critics questioned why governments funded expensive astronomy projects with no obvious commercial purpose. CSIRO's Wi-Fi patents became a powerful example of how useless science can create enormous unexpected value. Universities and research institutions now point to stories like O'Sullivan's when defending curiosity-driven research with no guaranteed outcome. O'Sullivan's story is remarkable because a failed search for cosmic explosions eventually connected billions of people on Earth. Consider the scale. A technology born inside one Australian research facility now reaches homes, offices, airports, and coffee shops around the world. Entire industries, from remote work to cloud computing and smart devices, depend on wireless technology. Every time your phone shows that small curved Wi-Fi icon, you're seeing the fingerprint of a black hole that was never actually found.